Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Boom. Good evening, boys and girls, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Dads, Lads, and Kebabs.
Perhaps.
Good afternoon. Good morning, Mickey. How are you?
I'm all right. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, Niall.
Over and out. Deuces and fuck off.
I can't see you later. Next week.
How are you?
I'm good. Arsenal won the league. Woo! 22 years. But we'll get
I
onto
know.
that next week.
That is a conversation all by itself, and we can pick
It
that
is.
one up.
Yes, because I'm going to the parade on Sunday with over 1 million people. So I might come back. I might not. So, but yeah.
Well, on that bombshell, people, tonight we have a very special episode. Very special episode indeed. So, it is Bring Your Offspring to Work Day. Meet my 1-year-old. No, it's not. It is the one and only Joshua York.
Oh,
Boom.
hello.
Good evening, Josh.
You can hear me. Hello.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is my son, Josh.
Hi.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Just in case Josh didn't know who he was.
Yeah. I haven't forgotten.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Josh? You okay?
Yeah.
Oh, Josh, you got sound?
It says I'm unmuted. I'll mute and remute.
Oh,
What about
Okay.
now? Can you hear me fine?
wait. Speak again, Josh.
Can you hear me fine now?
What?
That's Niall's audio. My audio is fine.
Oh no!
I
What
might
is
be
going on here? What
deleted
can
by
I hear?
now.
Oh no, my audio is right up.
Oh, I don't know then.
Oh, Niall
I
needs
can
to
leave them.
come out and come back.
Oh, let me
Okay,
come out,
no,
come
then.
back.
Okay.
Oh no! What? Sorry for the technical difficulties, Josh. This happens every single podcast.
Yeah.
Wood pigeon.
Oh, okay, he is back then. He did disappear then.
Yeah.
His
His internet's poo. I know if it's mine because it comes up on my recording thing. Okay.
Right, Josh. Can I
Okay.
hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Good.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good evening, Josh. How you doing? You okay, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Is this Josh? Is this your first podcast?
Yeah.
One of many. One of
Wow.
many.
Mhm.
Yeah. Once people listen and hear, they'll be like, "Oh, let's get Josh on the show."
Let's get Josh back. He's
Okay.
got some stuff to say. First of all, Josh, do you like your father?
Can you tell him any stories? No. Shh.
To be fair, I thought you embarrassed yourself more than I ever could, really. So
Yeah, it's natural for me.
I was going to say your dad will put himself in it before anybody else does.
Yeah, probably.
Sure.
To be fair.
So, Josh, in terms of podcast, are you a podcast listener? First of all,
I mainly listen to audio dramas, so I guess fictional podcasts would be a better way of saying it.
yeah.
I don't really listen to much, I guess, live podcasts. I only listen to this podcast because it gets sent to me. I usually listen to it when I'm doing art. This is probably the only in real life podcast I listen to.
Well,
Number one.
yeah, I was going to say there was a compliment in there somewhere about being. This is the only podcast because it gets sent to me. I mean, Josh, I understand that you get sent the sneak previews anyway before the rest of the world. So,
Sometimes, yeah.
and I mean, we have followers from all around the world.
We do.
Literally, from all the way from Australia, all the way to India, China,
Asia,
America,
Philippines,
yeah.
South America. Yeah.
Okay.
I would love to meet the people from the Philippines and South America who listen to our podcast.
You can't get free holiday.
I'm just thinking, podcast on tour.
Yeah, I'd take that.
Josh, what do you make of your dad's podcast?
I think it's entertaining because I listen to it while I do art. So it makes good background noise, but I use a lot of things for background noise, not specifically this. So I'm not devaluing this podcast. It's just as a whole, I have a lot of background noise ones.
Killing me here, Josh. You're killing me.
Where's the ladder?
Listen, honestly, that's fine. But I mean, if you're listening to our podcast while you're doing art, that must definitely put you in a good place.
It's inspiring.
This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Josh gets his inspiration from his art from our podcast, unless you're throwing paint at a wall, sort of thing, and it's like angry art.
No, I don't really do angry art.
Okay. What kind of art do you do? Just out of curiosity.
Mostly fan art for shows and games I like. I have recently started doing album covers. Not making my own album cover designs, but painting existing ones. Mainly to try getting myself to paint more often. It's working so far. So.
How long have you been painting for?
I've been painting regularly since January last year. It's like a year and 4 months-ish.
Yeah. And what do you get out of it? What does it do for you? I'm only asking because I paint every so often. I think I've actually showed your dad some of my paintings, but I paint every so often, but only when I feel like it. I have to be really I want to paint.
Oh, I do it because I just enjoy it. And I also just want to overall just get better at art slowly. Because when I used to do it at school, the teachers weren't very good for actually making you want to do it, because it was very sort of forced. You have to do it this specific way and these exact techniques, and it's all graded all the time. And it's basically just focused on results all the time, which I'm not sure about other people, but I found that very demotivating and made me lose interest in art like 5 or 6 years. So it's only recently I got back to it, and I'm now focusing on as long as I've learned something from a piece, even if I don't like it, then it's worthwhile. But as I said, I enjoy doing it kind of regardless of the result.
Good. I think that's the main thing. As long as you enjoy doing it and you feel happy while you're doing it, that's always the main thing. Now, Josh, I've got a few questions for you, focusing on your dad's expertise and what he does. And basically, I want to get your opinion on it, because obviously I've got my own opinion on everything that your dad does. So, obviously, your dad's very, very successful within the paranormal world. What is your stance on the paranormal world, Josh?
I think it's a bit mixed. Kind of like with most things, I don't outright think it doesn't exist. I think there's definitely some things that exist, but I don't 100% believe in it either. I'm not saying he's faking or anything, to be clear.
He is.
I'm just saying my general stance is more that I don't think I've had anything that like 100% confirms it for me, but I've had things that are a little bit weird. I'm like, it could be, or it could be something else. I don't know. So it's a bit mixed, I guess.
Okay. I mean, that's a good stance. Basically, he's saying, Dad, you're chatting shit, but your videos are good. And
I wouldn't put it that way.
And what about because this, for me, this is a creepy one. What about the dolls / the weird artifacts? Particularly speaking about the recent one that he showed me was the witch's nipple.
I've heard things about that one. I've not seen that one.
Oh, well, you are lucky.
Okay. I don't know. You kind of just get used to it, because obviously it's been pretty much my entire life. So I just don't really think about it much anymore.
You just like, that's weird.
You used to do videos of the dolls, Josh, didn't you?
I did one video with dolls, yeah.
Yeah.
What, like full on audio?
Investigation in the house, yeah.
Yeah. It was on the sofa in the living room.
Yeah.
Wait, didn't you used to have? Was it your bathroom that was weird in your old house?
With the taps turning on and
taps turning on, yeah.
And the little girl voice calling names and stuff in the landing, yeah.
Yeah, see, that's it. That's where I'm out. That's where I'm like, no, it's not for me. Obviously, you'll know from the podcast is anything to Fear Factor, I'm gone. All right, I bring the I bring the light-hearted side to the show. Mickey brings the dark side, obviously. Miserable Mickey.
Cheers.
However, we all aspire to be like our fathers in one way or another. Josh, can I safely say that you're not going to be a grave digger anytime soon?
No, there's zero chance.
What do you think? Do you think? I mean, I think it's a freaking awesome job that your dad's a grave digger.
You got me the job.
I mean,
Fair enough.
yeah, I found you the job. You applied yourself,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think it's an awesome job.
Yeah, I think it's a good job. It's just not a job that I think could be good for me.
No, I mean, if anybody was going to be a grave digger, it was your dad.
Yeah.
100%, because he's just that way inclined of just being doing all things a bit weird. I mean, even now, look, he's now messing with something. Oh no, he's popping a tablet.
Painkiller, I'm guessing.
Are you popping painkillers, Mickey? Oh, you can't hear anything.
Yeah.
You
I am.
Okay.
Are you in pain?
See, this is the thing. Yeah, I send Niall loads of messages. Doesn't fucking listen to them. I sent a message the other day. What's going on with me? He obviously didn't listen to the message. He's too busy putting his phone in a little cage when he gets home from school. Because he's not allowed to have his phone on.
What have you done?
You know what I've done? I went to the dentist.
You went to the dentist like a big boy.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that next week. We're not here to talk about that today.
To be fair, I was surprised when when I found out he went as well. To be fair.
Oh, Mickey, you got sore teeth. Do you want hot water bottle, mate? Don't do that. Don't do that. You don't bring cold. Yeah, don't do that.
Doesn't bother me. Doesn't affect it.
So, Josh, tell me a little about what you do, and
what in general or for work.
Right. Well, if I was to say, Josh, give me your bio, because I'm gonna depict your bio and basically tell me about you and where you are in life. First of all, Josh, how old are you? Are you 18, 19?
20.
You're 20.
I'm turning 21 in like 3 weeks ish.
21 in 3 weeks. When's your birthday?
22nd of June. Let's say just over 3 weeks.
Okay. I was gonna say my birthday's in like 2 weeks. Anyway, so you're turning 21, and you was at uni last year. Is that right? Was it last year? Year before?
Technically, the year before, though. I'd say the year before.
Year before, and then now you are. What are you doing now? You're delivering. You're a trainer, aren't you?
I delivered the Oliver McGowan training.
Yes, awesome training. Really important piece of training. I have done. Mickey, have you done the training?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's really good.
The 2 days worth of training. Oh my god, yeah, really, really good training, and really in depth as well. Where did that come from? What got you into that?
Well, I never expected to do any kind of public speaking or delivering training, because whenever I did any presentations or anything in school, I'd always really struggled to even say any words, and I'd get really hard to breathe and got really dizzy. But I ended up getting into this because my stepmom she works in care. I think she still works in care, definitely. And part of her role ended up being to be a lead trainer or facilitator trainer for the Oliver McGowan training. And then she told me about it, asking if I wanted to do it because they were looking for autistic co-trainers to co-deliver it. And basically a year after she mentioned it, I thought, oh wait, actually, now I'm back at home and don't have everything going on. I should at least have a look and see what it's about. Then it just kind of happens. I've only delivered 2 sessions so far, but I've got 3 coming up. So
wow.
It's starting to get a bit busier, hopefully.
Good. And you enjoy that? Do you enjoy that public speaking side about autism?
Yeah. The main reason for it is because most politicians and a lot of media push a lot of misinformation about autism. Not specifically about autism, but autism is a big one they push misinformation about, and I find it very frustrating. So I kind of use my voice where I can.
Absolutely. And if you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you were diagnosed with autism?
17.
17. And I think obviously touching on autism, if you don't mind, and like I said, if there's anything you think you want to move on, just say move on. Before the diagnosis, what did life look like for you? What was what kind of led up to the diagnosis, would you say?
I wasn't really sure. No, I never really suspected I was autistic until the end of year 11, to be fair. So that would have been 15, 16-ish when I first suspected. But that was honestly mainly because of social media. And because I had seen a lot of people talking about what their life is like being autistic. And I thought that sounds a lot like me, but it took like a year of me seeing that content to even consider it seriously. And then I went and did my own research, which is what most people do when they suspect they're autistic or have ADHD or whatever. Most people do go and do further research. And see, I looked at it and thought, okay, yeah, I match quite a lot of the traits. It seems likely that I have it. And then I ended up, then I was on the way home from a uni open day, and my stepmom, no, because I was talking about living alone when I went to uni. So I was talking about how I would need to basically learn how to like cope with things easier. And then my stepmom kind of led that into asking if I thought I was autistic. And then we kind of went through the school, and then I eventually got diagnosed with that. But yeah, before I was diagnosed, I was very high masking. And since I got diagnosed, it seems like I can't do that at all. I've tried masking since, I just can't seem to at all, which is good and bad. But yeah.
So do you with the masking, do you ever feel that you sort of have to, do you get over sort of hyper, or is it like do you try and hide it, or just try and what is it that comes out when you are masking?
Okay, so masking or camouflaging usually refers to kind of like hiding like your autistic traits, basically trying to make you appear more like other people. And well, yeah, so that's something I was doing very regularly up until roughly when I got diagnosed. I haven't done it for the past few years. I have tried, and it just doesn't seem to work anymore. And I just feel like it's just not masking very well. And then I end up getting really tired and stressed about it. So it just feels like I can't mask anymore, which, as I said, is good in that masking is a very draining thing, because it's basically a constant performance when it does happen. Now that I'm not masking much, or very rarely, it means that I have a lot of extra energy because I'm not constantly trying to hide myself all of the time. But as I said, there's some situations where it might be more beneficial to try and like play things down a little bit. But I think it's overall a good thing that I'm not masking anymore, because it means I can actually get reasonable accommodations easier, because people don't really doubt whether I need it or not, because I can't really hide it anymore. So it's good and bad for it.
Absolutely.
So
how did you feel after your diagnosis?
I wasn't surprised. I expected it. And to be fair, even the assessor commented on something. I don't really know what they said. But they said something like, as you probably already know or suspected, you are autistic. So like I was already knew it, or was pretty confident on it. And the assessors picked up on that during the process. And I was told that I'm also very likely to have ADHD, but it's up to me if I choose to pursue a diagnosis, and I haven't so far. Yeah.
So if you could just talk about how the process works for being not diagnosed. Obviously, with the school thing, I contacted the school and asked them how I go about discussing it with possibility of you having autism. And they sent out the pack, didn't they? And we went through that. It's very, very, very lots of pages of questions, spaces for yourself to write information that you thought was important for your assessment. And then we went to a place called Campbell House. Was it Campbell House we went to? Or was it one next door, wasn't it?
Newland's house.
Newland,
yeah. And me and Josh's mum had to go there and discuss the early life of Josh while Josh was speaking to someone else, I believe, wasn't it, Josh?
Yeah, because I was diagnosed under CAMS, so I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what the adult process is like. I imagine it's somewhat similar. But yeah,
I think it's still CAMS. I think it's still a similar process to
CAMS is only for. It'll be a very similar process, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how much parents would really be involved, because part of diagnostic criteria is to have like the traits displayed needs to have been there since childhood. So you kind of either need to remember your childhood really well, or have like a family friend or somebody who's known you a very long time kind of come in with you or write statements or something. I'm not 100% sure on that for adults. Yeah, as my dad was saying, when we got when we got to school, we got sent a pack. It had loads of questions in. It was mainly focused on socializing. Was kind of the bulk of the pre-assessment plan. But yeah, and then the school also had my tutor and a few of my teachers also fill out a similar form. That was quite long, from my understanding. And then all of that would have been sent off to the CAMS autism team, and they would have then reviewed it. And then when they reviewed it, they decided, okay, it does seem like I might be autistic, so so it's worthwhile trying to test me. And then it was like, when was it? It was like 8 months later, or 9 months later, I was then called in for an appointment. I think it lasted, it was like 4.5, 5 hours overall. Because when I was in my own room, I was with a main assessor, and then there was a trainee assessor there as well. They were asking me loads of questions about pretty much every area of life. I mean, at one point I was asked to show how I brush my teeth, which I didn't really expect to do. I'm still not 100% sure on the reasoning behind that, but it was something that they asked me to do.
Show me how you brush your teeth. That's strange.
Yeah, maybe they were checking for like anything like dyspraxia, which is surrounding like your coordination. That's
so
my
holding
guess.
it different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like sort of how you hold it, how you have your movements, things like that. So I'm assuming that's what they were looking for, but I don't know. They also asked me to tell a story from a picture book, which I think the idea was test. I'm still not 100% sure what it was testing either. But my best guess is that they were trying to test, like, I guess my imaginative play, or like whether I would take the pictures very literally, or whether I would make a story based off of that. I just described what was in the pages. And the assessor kept trying to like get me to do more, but I didn't really know what she wanted from me. I still don't know what she wanted from me. Yeah, so there's a picture book thing. There was so many questions. There's like 3 hours of questions. Yeah, then I went back. Then I sort of joined the parents one at the end, like the last half an hour, 40 minutes, and then we had a short break. Then came back when they told me the results. And yeah, but regardless, it's a very lengthy process. It's not just you walk into your GP, it gets handed to you, like a lot of people try to claim. It's a very long and lengthy process.
Absolutely. Did it feel invasive at all, in terms of invasive on you as a person? Because obviously your parents are in one room talking about you from a very younger age, to Josh, the person that's sat in this room, and you're like, again, you're feeling sort of like you're being depicted. And I guess, I don't know, for me it would feel quite invasive, like they're trying to make me into something that I don't know if I am. I don't know if that sounds right coming out, but I know obviously the diagnosis, when you go for it, it's important, and obviously it's a lengthy process. But you go in there as Josh, and then you come out with Josh with ADHD. I mean, Josh with autism. Does that do anything for you when you left there? Did it feel like a relief, or did it feel like you've got that identity of yourself now?
I suppose it was kind of a mix of things. I didn't really think it was that invasive overall when I was being asked all the questions, because I was already, I had prepared a document kind of covering everything I expected them to ask, and I brought that with me. So if I was ever stuck, I kind of refer back to what I wrote if I couldn't think of what to say. And that's something the assessors said they found really helpful to have, because in their mind, it's kind of like me. It's kind of like a second me, I guess, because it's all written down as well. So I don't think it was that invasive. I was more curious on what was being said about me in the parents' room, because obviously I never get to hear what went on in there.
No.
I do see snippets, because when I got the diagnosis report, I can see comments of like, Dad said this, Mum said this, etc. Like I can get an idea of what they said, but it's not a detailed thing. It doesn't cover everything. So I was more curious about them, what they were talking about. Yeah, I wasn't necessarily relieved after I got diagnosed, because I said I kind of expected it. But I think I was more happy with it overall, because it meant that when I was going to uni, I could get help without kind of feeling like I was lying about it. Because even though I knew I wasn't lying, without a diagnosis, kind of felt like if I said, "Oh, I need extra help with this," I was worried that they might sort of go like, "Oh, where's your proof?" So having a diagnosis was kind of that proof. And it's also made me more confident kind of asking for help from other people when I need it. For example, like when I deliver training, like if I want to, I can wear my ear defenders the entire time. They're not going to have an issue with that. Or I haven't worn sunglasses yet, because thankfully none of the lights have been too bad, but I do always have them with me. Or for example, I might, they don't really comment if I'm stimming the entire time or not while delivering training, or if I want to sit down the entire time or whatever. So basically just allows me to get more, basically feel more confident in getting adjustments where I need them without feeling guilty for it.
No, amazing. And do you think, go ahead, Mickey,
Sorry, just an observation. I thought that once the diagnosis was given, you seemed happier and you were an awful lot more chatty
Oh yeah,
than
that
you
reminds
had
me
been
actually.
previously. It was like the weight has been lifted off your shoulders. You've been proved what you were saying was right, and you were happy with relief. Like, this is me now, and there we go. And from looking at you from that point of view, you seemed a lot happier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
You
did
mentioned
remind
that
me
as well,
actually.
Mickey, many times.
Mm.
Which is good because the spectrum of. Go ahead, sorry, Josh. This happens.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so something that did remind me actually. Another part of it was more that it kind of proved to all family members that I am autistic, because some of them kind of doubted it or wasn't really sure, but were willing to go along with it anyway, just to see. But it was kind of like confirmation as well, which meant that overall everyone's a bit more accommodating. I mean, there's still areas that can be improved, but compared to what it was beforehand, it's a lot better. Yeah, that's all I had to say about that.
Good. Because obviously the spectrum of autism is colossal. There's such a scale of it in terms of where you would sit on that spectrum and your needs. Now, obviously, after the diagnosis, you went university. How did that look for you? Obviously, like you said, accommodation, living on your own, that independence, that social atmosphere of just, that massive part of a lot of young adults' lives where they, branch out to college or university. How did that look for you? Was that daunting at the time?
I was kind of prepared when it came down to cooking, because I've always kind of been encouraged to cook whenever there were the opportunities to. So I had a basic idea on how to cook and not kill myself with food poisoning.
That's
so
good.
there's that much at least. And I knew how to clean as well, because I've always been sort of told to do chores from a very young age anyway. So I know how to cook, I know how to clean, which was helpful. My flatmates, on the other hand, weren't as good at cleaning and weren't as consistent with it, which did annoy me quite a bit sometimes. They were mostly fine though. So from like a daily living perspective, it was okay. I think like I knew how to cook, I knew how to clean, I knew how to budget. I could do shopping. I knew how to spend money reasonably, so it wasn't too bad with that. In terms of the academic side, for the first year, it mostly went well, to be fair. It wasn't too demanding, and I managed to find a balance, because I was getting a DSA, which is Disabled Students Allowance. And I was using that money towards having a specialist mentor who I saw twice a week, every week. So on one of the days that week, she would talk to me for an hour, talking about daily living. It includes things like socializing as well. And just sort of helping out with that, helping me organize things, helping me plan things, helping me manage with things like doctor's appointments, or anything I had coming up. And then there was the other part where there's an hour a week focusing purely on the academic side, sort of like helping me keep on top of everything I need to do, helping me sort of plan when I need to do what, helping me do things like draft emails or word things to the lecturers. So that extra 2 hours a week of like dedicated help in a one-to-one setting was very helpful. I think without that, I think I would have dropped out way sooner if I didn't have that extra support. And the other reasonable adjustments I had was things like headphones in class, which when I actually started attending class, I realized that a lot of people wore headphones anyway. So it wasn't really like anything special, but it's more that because of the reasonable accommodation, they couldn't take that away. The lecturers couldn't ask me to remove them or anything, which was good. And it's also things if there are any fire alarms, I would be told in advance. Because as you can imagine, because I've got very hypersensitive hearing, which means that like, if the fire alarm goes off very suddenly, like most people don't like the fire alarm going off. It's a very loud, sudden, repetitive, annoying noise. But for me, it can become very overstimulating very quickly. And obviously, I don't want to have a meltdown in public because that's one, it's very embarrassing, but it's also extremely draining. And it'll kind of wipe out the entire day. So I was told that in advance when it was going to happen, so that I could have the headphones on beforehand, or so that I can just avoid that time, just be somewhere else at that time. There were things like if there were any presentations, I was allowed to do that one-to-one with the lecturer instead of front of the class. I was also given extra time for assignments, so it was like an extra week most of the time for assignments, which is helpful. And if I needed extra tutorials, I could get that from them as well. So like overall, the university was very accommodating. I can't think of what more they could have done really. In terms of social life, there wasn't really much of one. I did join a few societies. I did try making friends in my class and in the societies, but overall I was pretty ignored. And all of my attempts to socialize just didn't really go anywhere. And a lot of times I wasn't even acknowledged. So it wasn't, social aside, it wasn't that good. But it wasn't for a lack of trying. It was just because of other people, whatever their issue was, I don't know. I might have done something wrong, but as far as I'm aware, I haven't yet. But yeah, I think that's all with uni stuff.
Yeah,
That's the question.
That's great. No, absolutely. I think obviously, like you said, with the social side of things, in terms of friendship groups and that, your friendship group now, currently as it stands, have you got quite a small friendship group? Is it a big friendship group?
I would say small. I think I've got two people I consider close friends. That I think I've got one or two I consider kind of loose friends, where it's like I can talk to them, but they're not people I talk to regularly or really see often at all. So I guess it's very small. But I would like to make more friends, but I wouldn't want too many more. Maybe like one or two more close friends, and I think that would be fine for me. Because then you have to keep up with everybody all of the time, and it's just really draining and tiring. So it's in a smaller amount because it's easier to manage.
Try keeping up with your dad and his text messages. You know, I mean, I'll be totally honest with you. I think I've got one friend, and that's your dad, because like I said, my life's just chaotic.
He's not allowed anymore
with children and so on. But for me, I've always kept my circle small. I've never had a big circle. It's always been like similar to yourself, quite a close net of people around me. One, because I don't like too many people. I don't like communicating with lots and lots of different people. It doesn't, because I get sort of dysfunctioned on who I'm speaking to and what I'm supposed to be speaking to. So for me, I've always kept my circle small, and that's always helped me. Like I said, your dad is clearly the closest mate that I've got. So we definitely we definitely communicate on that level, and obviously we talk about all sorts of stuff. But then I think for you, do you like with communication and obviously like social life, like what are you at the young age of 20, what does that look like for you? What do you enjoy doing the most that makes you be Josh, basically?
But in a social context.
In a social context, personal context, whatever. Do you like to hang out on your own? Because I mean, I love my own company.
Yep.
I honestly, I could get lost within my own company. I like to walk on my own. I like to listen to music on my own. I like to play games on my own. I like to do the garden on my own. What are you doing at the age of 20?
I think I prefer kind of a mix because I do like time alone. Partially because I just kind of need to shut out sensory input for a while, a lot of the times because my house is quite a noisy one. So I kind of need to just completely shut everything out for a while. So I need lots of time to kind of, I guess, bring myself down all the time. But then I do also enjoy socializing when the opportunities are there. When I do socialize, it's usually just go around my friend's house, and we're usually playing games together or watching films or shows, things like that. So it's basically just hanging out, I guess. I enjoy. I would prefer a bit more socializing, but it's not always possible, really. Which is fine because you can't really force people to be more available than they are, and I also can't force past it when I'm just way too tired or when I need time to rest. I can't really force past it either. I guess it's a mix. I like my own time, but also do enjoy socializing where I can.
And do you go ahead? Sorry, Miki.
So you would say social settings for you, Josh, when you're out and about, they take it out of you, do they? It's quite draining, isn't it?
If I'm in public, yeah. If I'm just around my friend's house, then it's not really that draining. Just because it's always an environment I'm very familiar with, and also I'm very familiar with my friends because, well, you kind of are familiar with your friends. Otherwise, they wouldn't really be your friends.
Yeah.
So I don't find actually being around their house that draining at all. That takes basically nothing out of me.
No, but if
we were to meet in public or do
Yeah.
something in public, it definitely would drain me.
all the outside noise and the hustle and bustle that's going on in day-to-day life, yeah, it's a lot to take in. Something happening there, over there, behind you, and it's overstimulating.
What about routine? Do you have to have a routine, Josh? Do you have to know well in advance what you're doing, what's going on? Like, does that help you sort of, that classic word, facilitate your day?
I think it's a bit of a mix. When it comes down to the things that are like scheduled or meant to be coming up, or somebody wants to do something with me, I kind of read all of the details as early as possible so that I can actually plan it. I mean, I've told my dad, for example, multiple times that if he wants me to go somewhere with him, he needs to tell me more than 2 hours beforehand. He needs to tell me at least a day in advance.
I mean,
because
that's
he's done
fair.
that a few times now. Yeah, because even if I wasn't doing anything, I haven't really taken that into account for how much energy I need in a day and where I need to concentrate my energy. So I kind of need more notice. So I generally need as many details as possible, which means I ask a lot of questions, which is mostly fine. Some people get annoyed with it, I think. But yeah. And it's like a day-to-day level, like if I'm not going out or anything, there isn't really much routine there. Like whenever I do things, there always has to be a certain order to them. But it's not like every single day I wake up and do the exact same thing in the exact same order all the time. But it might be one case like, okay, if I have a shower, I'll do it in the exact same order every time. If I brush my teeth, it's always the exact same order. Or like, it's just almost like I don't necessarily have a strict routine, but anything I do is very structured and consistent.
What about putting on socks, shoes, arms in jumpers? Is that always the same?
Actually, no. That kind of varies.
How I shower is everything's the same.
Yeah, when it comes, and I don't really like wearing socks at all. I pretty much always wearing slippers. But once I've taken socks off, that's it for the day. I'm not going back on at all. Even if it's a new pair, it's not going back on. I just really don't like how they feel.
One sock and done. I like it.
Yeah. But yeah, it is with sort of like, I guess the need for certainty is definitely there. As pretty much anybody who's worked with me, whether that's in a volunteer setting or with the training at the moment, like they and all my lecturers as well, they all know that if they have not given enough information, they will hear about it. Because I would send an email or ask them, and to be a long list of questions and just double checking everything. But they they do need to accommodate that really, because if I don't have the information, it's basically going to make the task impossible, because I'm going to be so worried about doing it right that I'm just going to end up not doing it at all, or just get so stressed out I'm just exhausted by the time I get there and can't do anything either. So it is kind of a need. So yeah.
And on the flip side of the autism, then, when somebody isn't accommodating, when somebody isn't understanding or doesn't explain or doesn't give you notice, you mentioned that you don't know where to put your energy. Do you control your energy then? Do you control where it goes and how much energy you need to put into something?
Oh yeah, I need to be fair, because I'm not sure if have you heard of the idea of spoon theory?
No, say again.
Have either of you heard of the idea of spoon theory?
No.
Spoon.
Yeah. Okay. So it's kind of like an energy budgeting like system that was made. It's kind of originated because somebody had lupin. And to be honest, I don't really know what lupin is. I actually know it's a medical condition, and it has something to do with energy.
Lupus.
Yeah,
lupus.
Oh, yeah, lupus. Sorry, not lupin.
Yeah, lupus. Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds
Harry
similar.
Potter.
Chronic fatigue.
I'm not sure what yeah, so it kind of came from somebody who had lupus. Do you say lupus?
Yeah, lupus. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it came from somebody who had lupus. and they were sort of using the spoon theory to kind of explain to their friends how they had to kind of budget their energy for the day and how they need to be careful where they spend it to make sure they have enough for the day. And this kind of spreads to more than just that. It's basically the idea that everyone has kind of the same amount of spoons in a day, where each spoon is some amount of energy. So let's just say I've got 8. Say everyone's got 8 spoons a day of energy, for example. And the amount of energy it takes to do any task will vary from person to person. For example, like for me, brushing my teeth, I would say that's just kind of the biggest task. So for me, that's like two spoons gone. But for most people, I imagine it's something that you even need to think about. It don't need much thought into. It's not draining for them. It's not difficult for them. It's quite fast. For most people, this wouldn't even really count as anything. I'm not sure if am I explaining this well?
Yes,
Like,
you're explaining it
following?
within steps of how many. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, every task has different amount of energy requirements. So for example, if I need to, so like say I'm going out to make my dad a pasta, for example, even if he's picking me up, I would kind of say that would take up almost half of my energy for the day, which is kind of why I only really do like one outing a day at most, because it takes up a very large amount of my energy. But in some ways, for example, like something like getting ready to leave the house, that also takes quite a lot. So for example, like brushing my teeth, washing my face, like showering, getting dressed, all this stuff. Like by the time I've done all of that, that's like 3 spoons gone. And then when I'm out and socializing, that's another 3 gone. Then it means I've got 2 left for eating or for whatever I need to do the rest of the day. So it means I need to very carefully manage my energy. Otherwise, I'm just completely wiped out, and it can impact the following days as well. So I basically need to manage it carefully, otherwise, because it just takes up one bad day and then pretty much the entire week's messed up energy-wise. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you do have those low energy days where you're not requiring much energy, what happens on the flip side of that? What are you doing? Are you just constantly asleep? Are you just chilling out?
It's not really sleeping or anything. If it's about sort of days following really exhausting days, so I have kind of less spoons, I guess, that day. Those days I will I'll usually tell my friends to just not message much today, or send a lot less messages, because on that day I kind of need as little kind of interaction as possible. I still want some, but a lot less than normal. I'll also, like, if I'm cooking, then I'll make sure I have something really easy to make, something that takes very little time, very little cleanup, something that's easy to eat. So that's kind of how I was kind of accommodate it. And for example, if I'm not going out and I shower the day before, for example, I then won't shower on that day because I'm not going to be doing anything. I'm kind of just be in the house. I'm not really a sweaty person, so I'll save energy from skipping that day, for example. So it's just kind of cutting down on what I do during that time and trying to limit sensory input as well. So on those low energy days, I'll also probably have my headphones on for the majority of the day, or not leave my room much at all, because I just don't really have the energy to interact with anyone or do anything that's even remotely demanding. So yeah, there are usually days where I don't really do much. It might be a lot of laying around or sitting around, but not really sleeping. Yeah.
And are family quite well adapting to that, or have they grown to be adapting to the way that you control your energy, your spoons?
They don't really need to be fair, because it's something that I kind of manage myself anyway. And I've almost always spent a lot of time in my room. So it's not really a change for them if I'm in my room for most of the day. The only real difference now is that I'm not really forced to go to any like family events or parties or anything, because they kind of understand that takes a lot of energy to go to. And so they're more sort of like, they don't really expect me to go anymore. So it's entirely up to me whether I go or not, which is something I'm very appreciative of, because they're usually very draining.
Yeah. The question I'm dying to ask though, what are you listening to on your headphones? When you've got the headphones on for most of the day?
Oh, okay. If sometimes I'll be watching YouTube, although YouTube recommendations have been so bad for like the past year. So I might be watching YouTube sometimes. Other times I might just be listening to music, or audio dramas, or sometimes it is just nothing and it's just blocking out sound and that's it, not listening to anything. So it's a kind of a mix of those.
A mixture on how you feel, what you want to listen to. And what kind of music you're into?
Kind of everything, to be honest. I don't really pay attention to genre. I don't really know much about genres.
No,
like I vaguely know they exist, but I don't really know how to tell the difference between them all.
you're just a fan of music.
Yeah, according to Spotify, I listen to a lot of alt and rock. According to Spotify, I'm not entirely sure what those really mean, but that's what it says. Those be kind
Alternative
of the main
rock.
ones.
Okay, so just like bands then, but not like metal bands, but more
I do
alternative.
listen to some metal, but not much. It's something I want to try listening to more of because I know a lot of people quite like it, and I know it's also a genre I haven't listened to much, so I want to give it more of a fair chance.
I mean, my music taste goes from classical piano all the way to like metal, and in between we've got hip hop, pop, dance, reggae massively. Reggae's another one that if you ever feeling like you want to have an upbeat kind of day, reggae music does that. So recommend listening to some reggae. But then some days I'm just like, I need a Phil Collins. I need a Phil Collins. I need a Billy Joel, and then I need a Nat King Cole or the Temptations. Like, I need some old school. I mean, I just love music, but again, do you I suppose with autism, do you feel that the stigma of it is quite heightened? Like, do you feel that there's a lot of stigma behind autism?
If you asked me this a few years ago, I'd probably say no. But I'm thinking now that there definitely is more of a like rising stigma against it again. For example, there's a lot of people kind of like, for example, instead of sort of calling someone stupid or saying something they did is stupid, they might say, "Oh, you look autistic," or "That's really autistic," or something like that. So they kind of use it as a replacement for calling people stupid or like idiotic or whatever, which does usually annoy me because it's just one.
Lack of understanding.
It's just a stereotype.
Yeah, it's
pretty much all stereotypes that annoy me. Yeah, and there's also the fact that this just having a specific thing doesn't necessarily mean you are that as well. Which that's with everything. But yeah, so there's things like that. But there's also, as I said, like the media have been pushing more information and kind of launching more attacks towards SENS, which I'm assuming you both know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of things like that targeting that specifically, and by extension, they're also targeting more sort of like younger people who aren't actively working or working lower hours, which I can understand to an extent. But it's more that they're kind of like dismissing the fact that people might need accommodations or that they might need extra help, or that they may not be able to work full time. So there's more sort of towards that, and obviously, it's like, I guess so attacks on SEND also impacts adults with those things as well, because autistic children do grow into autistic adults. It's not something that disappears when you turn 18. So it's sort of their attacks on SENS. For example, I think it was Richard Tice who was talking about how ear defenders in school classrooms were insane, whereas his wording, and that they shouldn't be done at all, and teachers want to move on from it. There was recently a head of an all-girls school, an autistic all-girls school, who's just kind of bans things like reasonable adjustments in classrooms or restricts it, because the idea behind it is people need to, they're trying to prepare them for the real world, but the real world will accommodate them because autism is a disability. It's under the Equality Act. They have to adjust for that and accommodate that. So even specialist schools are kind of limiting it more and trying to like basically people to like put up with it, but that's not how it works when it comes down to sensory input. Because, for example, when I said earlier that like sound is going to come hypersensitivity, it's the same with sort of sight, but that's more like bright lights, flashing lights, color changing lights that even need to be flashing. There's things like a lot of perfumes, colognes, deodorants, aftershaves can be really overwhelming for me. So there's a lot of senses that are really strong for me. And if I was told just to put up with it, that doesn't really work, because that would just lead to me having a meltdown. That doesn't work. You can't put up with it. And the idea that's sort of being pushed about, oh, it's just resilience, or they're not trying hard enough, it's just a really harmful narrative that will extend to the workplace. So as I said, there is stigma and it is growing.
Do you feel that the opportunities are that present themselves, do you feel like there's equal opportunities for autistic adults, young adults? Because obviously, like you said, from children to young adults, when you're going into that working world, do you feel like the opportunities are equal enough for people to go and find work? Because I know, obviously, like you said, there is that whole, just put up with it, just get on with it. You'll you'll be fine working in this room with bright lights and it's loud. Get on with it. But I just feel like maybe everyone isn't as adaptive as they could be.
As in, employers aren't as adaptive as they could be, or
Yeah, I think
themselves?
I think obviously I also, I mean, from your perspective, do you feel like the opportunities out there are equally fair?
No. I think a good statistic for that is the fact that only 22% of autistic people are in any kind of work, which includes volunteering. So the vast majority of autistic people aren't being given those opportunities and aren't able to work full time, or as I said, any kind of work, not just full time. When you compare that to the fact that non-autistic people, over 80% of them are working in some kind of work, even if it's volunteering. So that disparity, 22% versus over 80%, it backs it up that there just aren't those opportunities. And I know, for example, for me, like I can't work full time. I found that out through uni. That was only 15 hours a week of actually attending, plus the extra hours of like one-to-one tutoring and mentoring. And I was constantly exhausted. I was like overall really struggling to do things because I was so wiped out all the time.
Mhm.
And that's not something that I could just magically overcome, because I had over a year to overcome it, and it never happens, even with all of the support I was given. So like, I know I can't work full time. I can work part time at least. But it's more that when you've got jobs that only allow things like only require driver's license, even if you have everything else but don't have that, even if you can only stay at one store, for example, location, but requiring a driver license in a job that doesn't really need it, it kind of shuts out people. Because a lot of autistic people also really struggle with driving. Some can, some definitely can, but it seems a common thing to struggle with driving. So it's just overall, I feel like they could definitely be doing a lot more. A lot of job descriptions are really vague. It doesn't really tell you what you'll actually be doing. Interviews are often, they're often very sort of like, they're technically structured, but they're generally quite unstructured. You're not really given any time to prepare, really. You're not there's a lot of social expectations and rules that if you don't do a handshake properly, or if you don't constantly stare into somebody's eyes, you're not doing it right. Or like they might do a cup test or something. The point is more that like interviews and job interview process, or application process, sorry. There are so many like hidden rules and expectations that I never explain to anyone. And it's exhausting to try and keep up with all of them and constantly try and match them and meet those expectations. So that's an example where they also kind of show it out. And then kind of leading into that, a lot of autistic people also can't really, a lot of them can't access kind of this typical first jobs. So things like working in fast food, retail, the kind of things that requires little experience. Although now a lot of them are requiring experience. But the fact that a lot of the times the environments are very noisy, they're very bright. You don't really get a chance to have proper breaks. It's like constant socialization. So it's all of these things that can pose a challenge to a lot of autistic people. Obviously not all of them, but quite a lot of them, including myself. It kind of puts a barrier in the way because you can't get those first years of experience that a lot of people can get. So it shuts off future opportunities. And then, as I mentioned with uni, I don't have the statistic for the autistic. Like, I don't have a statistic for how many autistic people end up graduating from university. I know statistic is much lower than it is for allistic people, but I don't have the exact statistic. So this thing that, again, education is often a barrier, so you can't always complete it. There's a lack of good opportunities to get experience. So sorry.
Do you see yourself as having a gift, Josh? Do you see autism as a gift?
No, I think that kind of thinking, like, it can be positive, but I think it's overall harmful, like the whole savant or like superpower idea. And the reasoning behind that is because it places a very unrealistic expectation on autistic people to have some kind of hidden talent or hidden skill, when autistic people are just like everyone else, where some people will be really skilled in one area or a few areas, or they'll just be really average in everything. Like autistic people are just like everyone else. So overall I dislike it because it puts an unfair expectation that you don't put on anyone else, or not always don't put on most other people. So I dislike that. And I understand kind of where it's coming from. It's trying to make people just like feel better, maybe about themselves or about a diagnosis. But I think the danger of that is you can kind of end up ignoring their actual needs, and that's obviously not a good thing. You know, they might end up trying to push themselves constantly and burn themselves out completely, and then they're kind of stuck. You know, so I overall dislike that whole line of thinking.
So what if you were meeting people, maybe some people new, what would they need to do to make you feel comfortable in their company or in the situation, or would it just be on depended on how much energy you had for that particular meeting or whatever? What would they have to do for you to be okay in that sort of surroundings? If there is anything.
That would be very dependent on basically the entire situation, yeah, because it depends on location, the time when at that location, might be things like how it is to get there, how it is to get back. There's a lot of things to sort of take consideration, but ways people can make it easier, for myself at least, it'd be things like if you're like, when agreeing to like a meeting time or day or location, make sure the location is very clear, the exact time, the exact place. Because sometimes they'll say, oh, it's somewhere in this building. But then I don't know which room it is. I don't know where to, when I get there, where do I go? Do I wait by the door? Do I go in the reception? Do I go to a specific room? Like a lot of times, so a way to help with that would be to give specific details. So that allow me to sort of use any headphones or noise cancelling headphones or ear defenders. I guess just be a bit patient when I'm talking as well, because sometimes I can kind of struggle to just process what somebody's saying until a bit afterwards. So kind of sit there and think, and then people end up repeating the question like straight afterwards. And so I'm still thinking, like trying to understand what was said. I guess just sort of be more flexible overall. So basically just like give more specific details, like with instructions. I think that does help is also having, I think they're called like venue guides. So it's like a picture of the building or a picture of a specific room. Tell me what sort of expect. So like, is the waiting room usually really busy at this time, or is it sort of quieter? Other things like air conditioning. Is there a TV playing? Is there usually music playing? It's basically just give me an idea of the environment. Give me like the specifics. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of repeating myself now.
No, not at all.
Yeah?
So for the reason I ask that, because for me, there's lots of situations that Niall knows that I get invited to a lot of places and I talk myself out of it because I can't stand to be in the situation. And for me, a lot of it comes down to if I knew how long I'd be there for or how long I'm expected to be there for me, that makes a big difference if I actually do turn up. So does that help for you as well? If I say, well, Josh, you're going to be there, you might not really like it, but you're only going to be there 15 minutes. Would that make it easier for you?
I mean, yeah, and I kind of included that as part of the like give specifics.
Yeah.
So I know what to expect basically. That's what the idea behind it.
Yeah.
I guess I think obviously hearing that, Mickey, how does that make you feel as a dad? Because obviously, like I said, you've come from this diagnosis and you're watching Josh grow up and you're watching him find his path in the world and how he's going to incorporate his life and daily routines and obviously, eventually career path and jobs and volunteering and how life's going to look. How does that make you feel? Like, do you feel like there's more that you can do in that? Do you feel like you want to be involved more? How does that make you feel?
From my point of view, going back to the diagnosis, I was very happy when Josh was diagnosed, and he got hopefully the answers that he was looking for, and from then onwards, seeing Josh go to uni on his own, something I could never do. Not in a million years would I go in a flat with people I don't know, far away from home. Not in a million years I'd have been able to do that. So Josh, very proud of you for that. It also upsets me how daily life affects Josh. Like sometimes some things are simple to do or easy for some people, and Josh really struggles. And that upsets me, because obviously you want your children and your friends and loved ones to try and potentially do as much as they can do in life. And if some things are restricting people, it's it's not really nice to see. But I'm very proud of Josh and how he copes with things, and it's just getting the job at Oliver McGowan and doing his volunteering, and he has a better social life than me now. So, but yeah, very proud of you, Josh.
Good. Josh, how do you take praise? How do you take it? Do you receive it well?
I don't know. It depends what it's about. For example, with the training, for example, I always feel like I mess up a lot, or I don't really get across what I want to get across, and I often feel like I don't explain things properly, which is why I usually ask, like, did that make sense, or if that makes sense, so at the end, because I just feel like, and it's very difficult to kind of connect what I'm thinking to my mouth, so it all kind of comes out a bit jumbled, and I don't really understand what I'm saying as I say that.
That happens to
So
me
this
too.
gets confusing. Yeah. And so with the training, whenever I get told things like, "Oh, I'm really articulate," or "I was really good," it was all explained really well. What I used to be like, whenever I receive any compliments or anything, I used to just assume other people are lying. I've now moved on from that. I don't think they're lying anymore. I just think they've got really low standards now, which isn't much better, but it's not. Yeah, it's better than thinking they're lying.
But they're saying
I
good
know.
things about you, Josh. They're saying good
Yeah, I
things
know.
about you.
But
And
I suppose it's more because I've got more expectations for myself than they probably have for me. So it's more that, okay, I feel like I haven't done what I wanted to do. I feel like I could be better, but other people are happy with what I've already done, and so it just, I don't know. I suppose I appreciate it, but I don't really take it on board much.
So what
It's
about
something.
from? Go ahead. Sorry, carry on, Josh.
I forgot what I was going to say anyway. You can carry on.
I was going to say. So what about from mama? What about from like mum and dad when they give you positive affirmations, positive feedback, and just basically general that parent love? How does that feel when that comes across? Do you process that as like in a good way, or do you feel like dad's got low standards anyway?
I don't know. I don't really think about it much, to be fair. I suppose I don't really take it on board, but I don't really think about it either, really. I don't know. I think I've just overall got relatively low self-esteem, but I always have done, and it's something that always gets commented on. Like when I've recently been doing work with the adult autism service, and I'm also with a few other NHS services at the moment. So it's something that gets picked up on quite quickly with them. I don't know, like I'm okay with it overall. I'm still kind of doing things anyway. But I do think, kind of placing too high standards isn't always a good thing. Well, it's very rarely a good thing, because it can end up being very tiring. But yeah, so I suppose I don't take praise and compliments that well, but I take it better than I used to.
Good. Well, I guess one step at a time, and I think that leads me on to one of the latter questions: is what does the next 5 years look like for Josh? What would you envision it would look like? Is there anything that you'd like to achieve within that time?
I'm not really sure, because I suppose just to give context on what I'm currently doing. So I'm delivering the Oliver McGowan training whenever it comes up, whenever I get given dates, really. So I don't really know where that's going to go, but it's something that it's helping me build public speaking skills, which I was very surprised I could do. It's helping me sort of overall, I suppose, just be more confident in asking for help when I need it. And the other context I'm going to give is that I also volunteer for about 3 hours every week at a museum, and that is focusing more on photography. So that's kind of my current situation. So I'm working with Oliver McGowan within sort of healthcare training, delivery, public speaking, and then with the museum of volunteering. So it has things like object handling, photography, some amount of socializing and communication, planning. So they're not really that connected. And then also just to keep it vague, overall my health isn't that good overall, so I am kind of limited as well with that. So ideally in 5 years' time, my health will be in a better place. That's more down to whether doctors can sort things out or not. So ideally that would happen. Job-wise, I'm not really sure. I think eventually I want to end in some kind of SEND role, whether that's in a mainstream school or within a SEND school specifically, just because I know there's a really big demand for those kinds of jobs and roles. And I'm not claiming that I know everything. There's so much I don't know. But I think that kind of having somebody who is autistic who would have benefited from having that SEND support throughout their school life, I think having someone like that working within that role would be more helpful, because they may be able to apply it a bit more. So I think some kind of SEND role would be nice eventually. Whether that's 5 years time or not, I don't know. But for now, for now, I'll just kind of see where the museum volunteering and where the Oliver McGowan takes me.
Amazing. I think you found your coin because you, like, without giving you too much praise, Josh, you are a really good speaker. And I think obviously the way that you speak, and again, I know you said about people saying how you articulate yourself, but I think, and from a SEN point of view, I feel like people could have that good level of communication with you because you explain things how people want it explained, if that makes sense. You provide detail and context. So you don't just say, look at this, read this, and do that. You basically say, this is why I want you to do this. This is, and that communication is quite difficult to find. It's kind of like trying to put together flat pack furniture without the instructions. Like, it's pretty difficult to do, but we're going to give it a go. But it doesn't mean we're going to get it right. But you provide that level of detail and context that some people do need data, and not just from the autistic spectrum. Like, people need that level of communication. So yeah, no, really, really appreciate that. Now, obviously, go ahead. Sorry, Mickey.
I've got another question. So, Josh, what advice would you give to parents of autistic children that are at school? Is there something that would potentially have helped you within the school from the parents, or?
That is a very, very difficult question because every child is different and what their needs are different. So, to a parent of somebody who has an autistic child or just a child who needs support from SEND, the main thing I would say is, I guess, it's like basically just advocate for your child as much as possible and try and make sure you understand them and actually have those conversations with them. Because if they feel like they can't talk to the parents so much, then the parents not going to know to kind of push further or try and know where they can try helping. So I think that's it, just because it's really difficult to give advice to such an incredibly broad group.
Okay. And one of my questions, and I've got a quick fire round for you, but I've got one more question. Okay. When it comes to your dad, where do you see your dad upon said spectrum? Because I know your dad, it's important to your dad that he feels that for many years of his life that he has, and he's explained it to me for years, that he feels that he's on some level of spectrum because of the way, how he feels about situations, how his mood develops, and how he, gets negative thoughts around things that he doesn't want to do, and and everyone we used to work through just thought he was miserable. They just thought like he's miserable at certain aspects, or he's moaning. No pun there, moaning Mickey. But where do you see your dad upon that spectrum? Do you feel, because obviously, you know your dad very well, and do you see any traits within him that you think, maybe he is?
I mean, he definitely has some traits. I don't know if it'd be enough to get diagnosed or not, but he definitely does have some traits. I think that's kind of it. And also, this is kind of linking to earlier. When you talk about the autism spectrum, are you talking, or in your mind, is it kind of like a low end and high ends, or is it more like a different thing?
I guess for me, it's kind of broadening. So it's not a low to high situation. It's kind of, for me, it's more based on abilities. And you mentioned it earlier about people go, oh, he's autistic. He must be able to, draw the Empire State Building just by looking at a picture, or he can read a book in an hour and that sort of stuff. I believe autism comes in all shapes and sizes, and I believe that not one person's coping mechanisms are the same as another, and just because they're very similar doesn't mean they're going to cope the same way. And I think your dad and I both know that from working within the industry for a long time. That you pick up on things, you pick up on people's abilities, people's advantages, things that people don't like. I mean, there's so many times that I got it wrong from being, within that area where I thought, oh, maybe I should do this, and it's gone completely the wrong way of how I thought it was going to go, and that's because I didn't explain, or I didn't say this is what we need to do, or so. And I also think it's a constant learning curve as well for family members, for individuals, for people, support workers and social workers, is that you need to take the time to listen and understand more than anything, because otherwise the point that you are trying to get across is just not going to be heard. And even though I think I'm listening, you're not understanding what you're saying. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to double check because you said, where do you think he is on the spectrum? And I wasn't sure if you meant like a low end to high, or if you meant as a whole. You got the answer I was expecting.
I think compared to your dad, do you think there's a place where he would fit on the spectrum, because of based on, like I said, I know diagnosis is something that you've talked about a few times, haven't you, Mickey?
Yeah, it's another thing that I taught myself out of, going to the doctor, because I'm scared that what he's going to ask. I don't know what he's going to ask. I don't know if he's going to make me feel uncomfortable. I don't know if he's going to laugh at me. I know it's very difficult to get diagnosed as an adult. It's a very long waiting list. I've spoke to Josh about it a few times. So there's many things, many reasons why I've still not done it. I did say this last year that I was going to do it. I still haven't done it. I think it's the uncertainty that is just stopping me at the moment. Yeah, I might get there eventually.
I was going to say, you don't need to get diagnosed to try adapting your life to make it fit better for you.
No,
so you don't really need to wait for that.
No, I suppose in a way, all the struggles I've had in life that I now look back on and think, oh, maybe I did it because of this. I think in a weird way, it would be helpful for me in my head that I didn't do that because I was a horrible person, or because I don't like doing this or that situation. I wasn't being horrible. It was because potentially I couldn't cope with it. And I think that would be some sort of relief for myself to say, okay, you weren't the bad person. It was because of this or because of that. I think for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make some sense. I do feel like if you still mess up because of sort of like you maybe struggle to cope with a situation, or in my opinion at least, there is still some space like afterwards to kind of explain why it happened and kind of apologize for it if it had an impact on someone else. I'm saying that because I know I've seen some people complain about how some autistic people kind of use it as an excuse for everything, when people can take accountability and apologize and explain. I'm not saying that's what you were doing at all.
No. I was just trying to find a reason why some things sort of happen.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's what I had to say. Yeah.
Perfect. Now, Josh, do you mind me doing? I do for all our guests when we do get them on, which is few and far between. I'm going to do a quick fire round of 10 questions. Do you mind?
That's fine. You can do it.
Okay, here we go. Favorite drink?
Okay, now, if these are all favorite ones, I might struggle with these ones. I don't really have favorites.
Okay, preferred drink?
Tea then.
You're a tea?
Yeah, I don't like coffee. I like coffee flavored things. I really like tiramisu and coffee walnut cake, but I don't like coffee itself. I don't know why. I mainly drink tea though. It's black tea with milk, no sugar. So
perfect. Okay. Hot or cold in terms of weather?
Cold.
100%. Favorite movie?
Okay, I'm going to narrow it down to just the most.
You can do a series. You can do a series. If you've got a series that you love, you can do that.
I would just narrow it down to the films I've watched somewhat recently that I enjoyed the most. I recently watched Coraline for the first time, which is like a stop motion kind of horror film. It's 2009. I quite liked that. And I've also recently watched a film called Conclave, which I didn't expect to like, but I ended up really liking as well. So I guess both of those.
Okay. Favorite food?
I can't answer that one. I don't have an answer.
Okay. Showers or baths?
Showers.
100% showers. Okay. A tidy bedroom or a messy bedroom?
I would prefer tidy.
Okay. You already... Okay. Shoes or sandals or slippers?
Well, it depends. If I'm leaving the house, then shoes. If I'm staying at home, then slippers.
Okay. Staying in or going out?
Yeah, again, it massively depends. I can't really give a clear answer for that. It's very situation dependent.
No, I get that. That's fair. I get that. That's fair. Now, final question is, what is your message to the world? Like, what is a quote that you like? Do you like a quote?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to think. I don't necessarily have a quote, but it's something that I found helpful. I don't remember where it came from. I think it's from a Tumblr post, to be fair. So it's not any one, like any famous person or anything.
It stands out to you.
But I just saw somebody say that anything worth doing is worth doing badly. It's basically the idea of like, okay, let's say you're really tired and you feel like you can't brush your teeth properly. Just brushing it for 30 seconds is better than not doing it at all. This idea of doing it badly is better than not doing it at all.
It's like going
so that's something that I don't know. Probably good advice, but yeah. But yeah, I just like that's an idea that helped me a lot. Where I say, okay, I can't do 100% of this thing, but I can do maybe a more stripped back version of it. And that's helped a lot.
Amazing. Josh, have you got any questions for us?
I'm trying to think. I don't really think I do. No.
No worries at all. Well, listen, Josh would like to thank you for coming on the show this evening.
Yep.
And if you'd ever like to come on the show again, just tell your dad I'm coming on the show this evening, and he'll put you on. But guys, thank you for listening to Josh's story this evening. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave some comments on our videos, and I'm sure Josh will be more than happy to answer them as and when he can, if that's okay with you, Josh.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, head over to YouTube for that to answer those questions, people.
Head over to YouTube or drop us a comment on our Instagram or send us a message, and we'll pass on your questions to Josh. But Josh, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on. And on that note, everybody, deuces and fuck off.